Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. My name's Connor Williams, joined by Jay Motty for the Scout Report on Anthony Elanga. Firstly, mate, welcome to the channel. Pleasure to have you on.
Always a pleasure coming on. Good to see you again.
So we're talking about Elanga. He's been around United now for I think it's 2, 3 years. Made his United debut when he was 19. He's now 21. How would you rate his time at United so far? And what do you think United fans think of him?
I think he started off quite well. Saw Elanga a few times at academy level, and he did well. He had like a trademark move that he did where he'd cut in from the left hand side and he'd score into. He scored some spectacular goals at academy level with his sort of cutting in from the wing, hitting it in sort of top bins. When he made his debut, I think it was against Leicester. I think in or one of his first games against Leicester for United, and he played it safe. He was just very sort of 5 yard passes and just keeping possession. He didn't really do a lot. And I thought that's not a player we've seen in the academy. But then he grew into it a little bit more when he was given more opportunities. And the first sort of stage of his United career, I think he played some games under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and then under Ralph Rangnick. He did well. He scored some goals. I was over in Madrid where he scored the equaliser against Atletico, which was probably one of the highlights of Ralph Rangnick's time at Manchester United. I was actually just behind the goal when he hit it as well. And I remember thinking it looked like he'd miss hit it. I thought he's because I was in with the home fans. I thought he's missed it that, but he hadn't. He sort of hit it low into the bottom corner. But that was kind of the peak of his United career, and I think he struggled from that. And I think he struggled because we were overplaying him. I think he was playing week in week out. I don't think he was quite ready for that, and the whole team was struggling under Ralph Ragnick. Things were going horribly wrong, especially away from home. There was a time when he was getting in ahead of Marcus Rashford, which was just silly. That shouldn't have been happening because whilst Marcus Rashford was in a bad bit of form, he is an established Premier League player, an established Manchester United player who had 20 plus goal seasons for United. And you've got this kid who's just come in, still finding his feet. He had a bit of a tough one in the FA Cup, I think, where he missed a penalty. And you could just see the confidence was draining from him. And I think it's been a long time since he scored. I think it might be, I can't remember. I think it might be about 18 months or something. I can't remember the exact time. It's been a while since we've had any goals from Anthony Elanga. And similar with assists, I think he had a decent record, I think, alongside Ronaldo. I think they linked up well a little bit for a little spell, sorry. But it didn't quite happen for him, and it hasn't since. And now he just gets these cameos now and again where he comes on for the last 5-10 minutes, hasn't got on the score sheet. And I think that the fans' sort of attitude towards Elanga has gone from him being a player where you think he's one for the future for United to now thinking he's probably not at the level we need. If we want to kick on and keep, not just finish top four, but try and mount a title challenge, I don't think Alanga's that guy. I don't think he's got it in him. And I know he's young and he can get better and he probably will get better. But I think you can tell now he's been at United and been in the first team and in around the first team long enough for you to know he's just not quite got it. But I think if he gets a move to Everton, he can get that confidence back that he had when we first saw him burst onto the scene. Then there's a player there. There is. I just feel United have badly misused him because there was a time when he needed to be taken out of that team and he was played week in, week out and he was struggling. The team was struggling, and I think it practically ruined his United career, to be honest.
Well, you mentioned the goals and the assists. I've got it here, 55 games so far for United, 4 goals, 4 assists, which aren't brilliant numbers, but like you said, if he's playing in bits of form where young lads their form is very sporadic, where he should probably be taken out, that might sort of factor into the number count there. But it's not the greatest return from him. What are his strengths then? What could we be looking for?
He's quick. He's good. He's quite skillful. Andy Elanga. He can when he's got the ball. And he's got his confidence and his tails up. He can run with the ball. He can. And he has got a decent shot on him. I know those numbers don't reflect that. I feel like I saw the best of Andy Elanga when he was at the academy and then he was just coming through. That period towards the end of the academy time and the time in the United first team, he was really exciting. He was a player you could get behind. He had that. He's got that chant. I think City have tried to nick it. City fans, to the tune of Rhythm is a Dancer, Anthony Elanga, I'm sure you've heard it, scoring goals from everywhere and all the rest of it. And there was a real buzz.
Hello.
I think I lost you there for a minute. Um, yeah, sorry. So I feel a little bit sorry for Elanga in the sense that I've seen him come on a few times where if he gets the ball squared to him, he's got a tap in, but he hasn't. He's just, it's gone out short. It might be Rashford or whoever has gone for goal and either scored or not got a goal. I think he's just becoming a sort of figure who it's time for him to move on. It is. I just don't really think he offers much to Manchester United. I've no disrespect to Everton. I'm not saying that he's terrible, he's not good enough for United and he'll shine at Everton, but he's young. He has shown us what he can do. And I think if you get him confident and you get a manager who believes in him and knows how to handle him and knows, when to play him and when not to play him, then there could still be a player there. He's far too young to write off. And we can see he's got some qualities. Otherwise, he never would have got into the Manchester United team in the first place. Because I know things went wrong under Ralph Rangnick, but you're still playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. Certainly one of the biggest clubs, certainly the biggest club, in my opinion, in the Premier League. Well, not even an opinion, they are. We are. So to get into that team, you have to have something about you. And like I said, he did get some goals, he did get some assists. He linked up well with Cristiano Ronaldo for a spell. But I just feel like now the time to move on. If he goes to Goodison, and you know how passionate the Evertonians are, and he can get a good start. If he gets off on the right foot, I think he'll come good.
So we've gone through this. You mentioned his strengths. What are the weaknesses? Like you said, he's still young, so he's time to polish them. But what are his weaknesses right now that sort of stop him from being, like you said, the potential that you thought he had at first?
I think the confidence has gone. I think you can see it. I think you can tell with a young player, an attacker, it's not happening for him. And if it gets in your head, it must get in your head when you've gone that long without a goal. I can't remember the exact figure. I'll try and sort of find out for you because I think it's quite a long time since he scored for United. And the weird thing is, or not the weird thing, but you can see he's a player. He scored for Sweden recently. He's got goals for his country, so it's not like he's forgotten how to score. It's just for Manchester United. It's been a little while. It's been a minute since he scored for us. I'm just trying to sort of look. I can't even find like the last sort of time he scored, but it's a while back. I think I think you might even have to go back. Yeah, like I said earlier, to 18 months or something. His last Premier League goal, maybe a little bit less than that. But yeah, it's no. In fact, you know what? I'm just having a look now. I think his last Premier League goal was against Leeds in February 2022. So, wow. And I think he scored against, like I said, he scored against Atletico around a similar time. So to go that long without a goal, your confidence is going to be taken it up, especially when you see the likes of Marcus Rashford, who's absolutely smashing it and banging them in, week out. And this is a player at one point, he was getting in the team ahead of him. So that is an issue. That's something that Sean Dyche has got to fix. He's got to get this player believing in himself again. And like I said, you can see him for Sweden. So he's still there. But I think for me, what could be vital for Elanga is getting a good start. If you can get him in early, get him in pre-season, even if he just gets a goal in pre-season, just that can make a difference sometimes to a player. Just getting in, back in the groove of scoring goals. Then yeah, I think you've got a player there. And I think, like I keep saying, he's a young lad. A lot of young lads don't get into Manchester United's team at the age of 19, 20 like he did, especially attackers. So it's far too early to write him off completely. I just think he's a player that when he's suffering from lack of confidence, which he's now, his form and his goals just desert him.
So you mentioned that he plays out on the wing and cut in. Can he play either side of the wing? Has he played for United either side?
I think, yeah, he's played on the right, he's played on the left. I think he can even, I think if you need him to, he's not very big, but you could put him down the middle. I think that's not his preferred position though. So yeah, he can play either side. I think his preferred position would be left wing, cutting in, but you could play him on the right. And again, if you've got a sort of a setup or a team that gets the ball to him a lot as well, because I think he suffered from that at United, where he's not seen enough of the ball, where he's coming on with 5 minutes, like I was saying earlier, 5 minutes ago, and he's trying to get hold of the ball and he's trying to get brought into the game, and it's just not happening for him. But if he's got a team where he's getting the ball, like you're playing the ball to him, he's becoming a focal point or one of the important parts of your attack, then that could get him going again. Because, like I say, for his country, when that's happened, he's done well.
Everton fans are a little bit skeptical, just because it's obvious from the outside looking in that he hasn't. He's not getting into the team as much now. And like you said, he hasn't scored a goal for over a year. What would you say to try and turn the skeptics around?
I get that skepticism. The stats speak for themselves. But I think what I would say is anyone looking at just the numbers and the lack of goals and how long it's been, there are mitigating circumstances. And I've said this before, quite on a few podcasts, that I think it was almost a blueprint of how not to handle a player with Anthony Elanga. It's like the opposite of what you should do with a youngster. I just think he was just badly mismanaged at Manchester United. I really do. I think you had a player there who was brought in by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He got a couple of games and he was in. I think he was playing. Like I said, he played that game against Leicester. I think he played against Wolves and scored as well. And you can see he's getting brought in. Then he was out of the squad for a little while. Then he was brought back in and given these minutes. And then all of a sudden, he's in. That's it. He's in. He's in every week. And at first, he was doing quite well. Then when he's struggling, then when the team's struggling, he's still playing every game. He's still playing every week. There's times where much more experienced players aren't playing, and he is. And it's just not what should have happened with him. It's a bad way to manage a young player. And I feel for him because he's nearly all his games, certainly all his starts, came under Ralph Rangnick, who was a disaster as Manchester United manager. He's genuinely the worst manager I've seen. And no disrespect, I shouldn't say this on an Everton podcast, but Moyes was terrible. But I say Ralph Rangnick at United anyway. Ralph Rangnick was worse. So it's that I would give him a little bit of patience. I'd give him a little bit of leeway because I say, look, I know he plays United. He should be scoring goals. He should certainly be scoring a goal more recently than he has done. But there's a lot of factors to take into consideration here. You saw bad mismanagement, playing when he shouldn't have played. There was the Ronaldo factor, which I think it was all about Ronaldo, and it's like, get the ball to Ronaldo, and we just got to do it with Ronaldo and that kind of thing. There was games where there was even a suggestion for, I think it was the Manchester derby, that Ronaldo had been dropped for him, and that's why Ronaldo had gone back to Portugal, because he'd said he had this hip flexor injury, and people saying, is that really true? And then there was rumours that Ralph Rangnick had gone with Elanga and Sancho and dropped Ronaldo. I don't know how true that is, but it just adds to that noise and that air that, there's a lot of pressure on this kid. The expectations there. It's not happening for him. It's not happening for the team. The fans are sort of getting restless. It's not great. And yet this was a player, when he first came into the team, everyone was buzzing about. So I'd just say for Evertonians, try and be a bit patient with him. There is a player there. And I think he's that type of player. If he gets a goal, gets going again, it could kick on. Because he's got it in him. It's been far too long since we've seen it.
And you obviously mentioned his glass ceiling, sort of how high his ceiling is, and you said that it's probably not high enough for a club like United who want to be pushing for title, top four, back to the sort of the United of old. But in terms of his ceiling, though, how far can he go? Is he a high assisting winger, goal scoring winger? How high do you reckon his ceiling is?
It's a very good question. I think I'd be surprised if I saw him putting up silly numbers. I don't know if he's got it in him to be a sort of, double figures in goals and double figures in assists sort of thing. But I think he can be effective. I think he can. And I think as well, we do it all the time. We write off players too quickly. It's like, he's 21, he's not done this. Right, I say he's done. Well, he's not. Some players can sort of have these sort of dips that last for a long time and then come back and get rejuvenated. A move can make all the difference for some players. You've seen it with so many players over the years, especially ones at United, where you think, oh, look at, here's a good example, Andrea Pereira. Andrea Pereira went out on loan after loan after loan. And then there was a season, I think, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where he played about 35 games, whatever it was. And I remember saying at the time, I don't think I've seen a player as bad as Pereira play as many games for Manchester United. And I like the kid, he tried, but he just wasn't anywhere near the levels United needed. He goes to Fulham, and he was fantastic last season for Fulham. He was smashing it. They finished really up the table. He's taking free kicks. He's dictating the pace of the game, doing all sorts. This was a player that every United fan would have gone, he ain't good enough. And I think that could happen with Elanga. I think if he can get in a team where he's getting opportunities, he's getting proper minutes, and he's getting teammates who are bringing him into the game, and he's got a crowd behind him, I think there's a chance there. I'm not going to say it's set in stone. I'm not going to sit here and say to you, you've got a player that's going to absolutely smash it at your club. Because I think, being brutally honest, the jury's still out. There's a chance he could go there and do really well. There's a chance he goes there in a year's time. You go, look, it's not worked out, and he ends up in the Championship. But I can understand why you're going for him, because he's a youngster, and there's something there where it's probably worth taking a chance on him.
Yeah, I think the other reason as well is the reported fee. The deal is meant to be permanent, and it's a fee quoted at the minute at around 10 million that could possibly rise to 15, 20. What are your thoughts on that and the deal from a United perspective? Because 10 million for, I mean, a gamble, but it's not the most expensive gamble Everton have ever paid.
No, it's weird because I think, was it last year you paid about that for James Garner,
Yeah,
roughly,
roughly. Yeah,
give or take 3 or 4 million. A lot of United fans were annoyed at that because James Garner was a youngster who I'd watched a lot of him for under 23s, always been spoken about, a player that a lot of us thought, myself included, that would get an opportunity at United and could be a United player in the future. So when he went to Everton, sorry, it was a bit of a surprise, especially for the fee. I thought we'd kind of had our pants pulled down a little bit, and I know it took him a long time to get going, but I think now you've seen him doing well for you guys in the last sort of towards the end of the season. I think, correct me if I'm wrong,
okay.
and obviously he's done well for England as well, England under 21s. But I think with Elanga, you kind of know because of just the fact he's not been putting up the numbers, you're not going to get lots for him. And I've seen some people complaining, going, "I can't believe we're going to let him go for 10 million." But I think you have to be realistic, and if a player's struggled for a long time, then you're not going to get 25, 30 million for him. And also, I think if there's add-ons there, if Everton say 10 million, and if he plays how many games or if he scores whatever, then United will get a bit more. I think that's pretty reasonable because I think it's a hard sell to go, this is a player who is worth a lot of money, or in modern terms, a lot of money. In football terms, sorry, a lot of money, because like I say, this is a gamble for Everton. But I think that reflects in the fact you're getting a 21-year-old attacker from Manchester United who's played a lot of games for Manchester United. He's played 55 times for Manchester United, and he's 21, and you're getting him for what, 10 million? So there's a payoff there for Everton in there. They're getting a 21-year-old from United who's played 50 games for quite a reasonable price, and United are getting rid of a player who hasn't scored for over a year for a decent amount of money. Probably a few United fans saying we should get more. There's probably some Evertonians saying you've paid a bit more. I think somewhere in the middle is accurate, and you might look at it and go, actually, that price is a fair reflection of where the kid's at.
Yeah, it's certainly. I mean, personally, I think it's about a fair price, given like you said, modern football prices as well. My final question is: do you think this is a good signing for Everton? And you've sort of already answered this, but a good move as well for Elanga, the player.
It's a great question, that, or great two questions. I think it's a gamble worth taking for Everton. I do. I think it's one of those where it is a risk, because if we could be sitting here in a year's time and you could be raving about him, and I wouldn't be surprised. And we could be sitting in a year's time, you could be saying it's not worked out. We've sold him to a championship club for 5 million or whatever, and I wouldn't be surprised. I think the jury's out on him. There's a player there, but has he got it to do it in the Premier League? I think we're not 100% sure. So from an Everton point of view, I think it's a bit of a gamble, but like I said, it's one of those worth taking. For Elanga, I think this is a great move. I do. I think an established, Premier League club, a great team, a great club as well, with all the history and the fan base there. It's a good move for him. I think this, to be honest with you, this might put you off a bit, but I think this is as good a move as he could have got. I think I do. I'm not trying to talk down to him then, but to go to a club that's been in the Premier League since it started, is well known, its fans are well known. I think it's got a lot of history. He's even little things like, it's not like he's going to the other side of the country. He's barely got to move. I think it makes a lot of sense for Elanga. And I also think, and again, no disrespect, but I think where Everton have been in the last few years, if you go to Everton and it doesn't happen for you, you're probably not Premier League level, because Everton have struggled a little bit. And I think if you're not going to make it Everton, then you probably have to going to drop down to championship level. So I think it makes a lot of sense for Anthony Elanga. I think it's a great move for him. So, and I wish him well. I think he'll get a good reception if he plays against United at Old Trafford. I think United fans will give him a good reception. I think a lot of United fans just appreciate it. He was a good kid, tries hard, had his little moments, but it just didn't work out. And I do, if he goes to Everton, I wish him well.
Well, that is certainly one of the more positive scout reports I've done on players we've looked at this season. Thank you for joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
No, it's a pleasure speaking to you, and we'll catch up next season. Hopefully, Elanga's doing the business for you, just not against us.
Yeah, hopefully we're talking about him in a positive light. Don't forget, everyone, to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts on Elanga. And you can also check out Jay and the Stretford paddock as well. Their links will be in the description down below. And I'll see you guys soon.